Welcome back to another episode of A Record of My Father. Here today, we're on Memorial Day weekend. We're gonna have a great weekend. Today is Monday. It's Monday today, right? I think
So
so.
the weekend's pretty much over.
Yeah, the weekend's pretty much over. But we thought it would be a good idea to talk about Memorial Day. So that's what we're gonna
Well,
talk about.
I was, I mean, the first thing is like I think about when I think about Memorial Day, I'm looking more into what our military has done over the years. World War I, World War II, I guess Iraq War. They don't call it a war, Vietnam War, all the different things that the military have the campaigns and battles. And I think about it as this is what I thought until I just read like where did it start? And it was really clear to read that it started right in May of 1865, that it was put together when they buried 250 Union soldiers, and it was put together by African Americans at that time to celebrate the freedom, and they called it Decoration Day. And I wonder if a lot of people know that. That seems to be wasn't a federal holiday until 71 is when it was a federal holiday. It was nationally recognized in 68. Uh, I don't know when they changed the name. I didn't read into the specifics to see, but that's where it was spawned from, was Decoration Day, which was the celebration of, black people's freedom,
I
which
certainly did
was
not know that. I did not
I,
know
I
that.
mean, I'm like, whoa, you wouldn't, that really, I'm guessing that, knowing hair, the origination of it is very kind of, that's just kind of interesting in itself. Uh, when I think about the foreign wars and things like that, I mean, my father and my grandfather both fought in my grandfather in World War I and World War II. Uh, he was in the military from the mid 1800 no 1890s. He went in when he was 15. He was on a wooden boat at that time in the military, which is really weird because he said he went from was it coal fired to nuclear powered. When he's nuclear powered in the 40s, I mean, one of his stories is he was supposed to be, I think it was on the Arizona or the Arkansas, which was at Pearl Harbor, and he got hung up and he missed the plane to get to the boat in time. And Pearl Harbor, that boat was sunk. So it's
Yeah, I
like,
think it was the Arkansas, if I remember. Yeah.
yeah, Arkansas, because he was on Arkansas for like 40. That was the one that he was on for 40 years or something like that. He was the in the engine room, and he would have been like many of the others, stuck, done, didn't make it. But and my father, he was in Pacific. Uh, he did campaigns in Leyte. He did campaigns in Okinawa. Just some of the most brutal fighting that was faced in the Pacific theater. Did not do anything on the European side. Went into the war late in '44. So when they made the push on the west in the east, so it's very very different. He also was back in the military for Korea in '51, '52, and '53. So yeah, my mother was in the army for a short time, which this is, the history's kind of fuzzy, but she was in the military from 50 to 51. She joined the army as a WAC. She was in the WAC for like 10 months, and then she got an honorable discharge. And we don't know, but that was her first pregnancy. Because back then, if you went, if you got knocked up in the military and you're a woman and you're not married, well, that's, way too scandalous for anything. So she was let loose, but we don't know like who that was or whatever happened to that or anything. That's a long fuzzy story. Kind of throw those out. We have a lot of those in our family history.
Well, that was when you figured out that your parents weren't married for the first time to each other, right? That was
Oh,
around, yeah.
yeah, I didn't know that until how do I put this in a clean manner? When I was uh, uh, when I had to serve probation, and we and we went in for the first time. We talked, and I sat down with a probation officer, and he asked me. He asked my dad was there, and he goes, "Have you ever been married before?" And it was the weirdest conversation that I've ever seen, I've ever been involved in, ever. He's sitting next to me, and he goes, "No, no." The goes, "Okay." He's filling out the form, like name, phone number, name, address, and all that kind of stuff. And he goes through all of it. And then he goes, "Okay, have you or your wife ever been married before?" Yes. Oh, okay. So you've been married before. You've been married once before, and your wife's not been married. No. Okay. So you've been married more than once? Yes. So so and this is how the whole conversation went. It got to the point where he said, "I've been married twice before." So he said, "So you've been married twice before, and and your wife has never been married before." And he goes, "No." And then it's like, and I'm learning, and I'm going like, I didn't know he was married twice before. And then he goes through, and then it's like, well, your wife's been married once before? No. And this is the kind of conversation all the way through. And it turns out she was married twice before as well. And then I didn't know it at the time, or I kind of had an inkling of it when the grandfather came up and said, "Do you ever meet your sister, the stepsister?" Which we finally met when 72. She found us when my brother died. They put his father, which was my father, his name in there, and that came up on her Google alert. And then she reached out to us, and we met her and talked with her. And she is older than us by 4 or 5 years. And the weird thing was, is she bought a photograph of another daughter who was from my father's first marriage.
Oh wow.
And she said, "I'm still looking for her." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So to meet a stepsister at 70, she was 72. I guess I was 61 or something like that. Wonderful woman, lives in DC, and was a school teacher in Fairfax County for 30 years. So right in my backyard. But I mean, Brown, come on.
Yeah.
There's a million of us.
You could throw a rock and
20
hit
mil,
about 20
100
of them.
million.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's the good thing about my name is that it's hard to find me unless you have very specific things. Look up Phil Brown. Yeah, right. I was the actor. Star Wars. I was in Doris Day. I was in I'm like all over the place.
Hmm.
There's a ton of Phil Browns that did things. I was a nuclear scientist. I was I think I was a submarine pilot. I mean, I've been a ton of things, you know.
Everything.
I mean, at
Every
least Phil
occupation.
Brown has.
That's
Yeah,
true.
for the most part.
You
I
just get the
haven't looked for like
band when
serial
you
killers.
do my name. You just get the country band. It just
Yeah.
dominates
Is it
Google.
the
They
Zach Brown
they have
band?
a great, yeah, exactly. They
Yeah.
have a great person doing their SEO because you
I
can't
wonder if you could do not
without me.
Zach Brown.
It's not, I don't even spell it the same way either, and it still comes up.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't find anything other than that when I run your name, and I tried it. That's why I went to the moniker Z Houston Brown, because that is something different that would stand out, or
I
Houston
was
or something like that.
I was telling people about the Cliff Brown the other day. And how
Cliff
that was an idea for my one of my original names, and then or no, Clay Brown, sorry.
Clay. Yep.
Yeah. And
That was she wanted to call you Clay, and it was like, okay, that would be cool, and his nickname would be Brown Clay,
yeah, I think
right?
that'd be so funny.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
I
I
I
would have
think that
loved that. I think I
you
would have loved
can't pick a name of a kid where you know what they're going to be made fun of, but because I mean, it doesn't really matter. If your name is Bob Johnson, they're going to make up something.
Oh
Or if
yeah,
your
yeah.
name is Horatio, whatever, they're going to make up something. Kids are shit. I mean, there's bullies, there's most are wonderful to some degree or other, but for the most part, it's like you don't see that. You're going to see they're going to figure out a way to turn your name into something that's going to try to embarrass you.
Oh yeah,
Always have,
every
always
time.
will. And you've got to just figure out that you need to build up enough resilience to be able to listen to it and giggle and move on instead of punch them in the face. It took me a long time not to realize that I just couldn't just punch them in the face. And I think it took you a long time too, you know.
Yeah, it did. It took me a little longer than most, maybe. But what
Yeah.
was the
Well, you and me were a lot alike in that respect.
they always did physical attributes. They never did names though. That's the funny thing.
Really.
They were meaner when I was growing up. I don't know. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So let me think. They used to, I mean, other than calling me poor, which,
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do
yeah, what are
about
you going to do?
what are you gonna do
Well,
about
they,
that?
they used to make fun of my mother work. My father didn't work. My mother worked, and that kind of stuff. And you'd get into fist fights over that. And at some point you start to realize that it isn't, I didn't do that. I didn't decide who worked and who didn't work in our household. I didn't decide who was a drunk and who wasn't. I do that now.
Oh,
It's funny how it
I
is.
decide who the drunk is now. I know.
I get to
I decide.
decide.
Oh, that's
I get to
great.
decide who the drunk is.
It's up to
I get to decide
me.
who doesn't want to work. Yeah. No, no, it's me. You don't get to do that. Oh, it is going to be your birthday.
Oh,
Hmm.
in 2 days. You know what's funny? You guess what I'm doing the day before my birthday?
What?
Going to the dentist.
Ah.
Day before my birthday. Hopefully they
Oh,
find a
well.
bunch of
What is it?
cavities.
Just,
That'd be so
yeah,
funny.
that'd be good.
They find a bunch of cavities. They're
I
like,
just
hey,
need you to be drilling me on my birthday.
you need surgery of vast proportions. No, but yeah, I'm doing that.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna be great. I haven't been in about
And then your mom's is another 20 days later.
a year. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah,
What are
she's going to
the
hit the big
odds?
6'5".
Hmm.
Yep.
What are the odds of that? But no,
Hmm.
that's gonna be great. And then I'm seeing you when, John.
Then she'll be a year older than me.
I'm seeing you
I'm
on the
sorry?
I'm seeing you on the 7th, right? The 8th,
I don't know. You did you book it or did she book it?
Indiana. I don't know.
Oh, Indiana. Yeah, yeah. Indiana is going to be June 3rd.
8th. Oh, third, really? Third?
Yeah, I think it's the 3rd or 4th,
Oh, that was the
and
7th.
it's from I'll recheck that when we get back
Yeah,
together,
no,
and
for
we'll do
sure.
that.
We'll reconvene.
And we can do an episode on weddings, attending weddings and what we
Mhm.
think of them.
And Seth William, you know what I said to him when I got the you know how they did the fridge magnet in the mail?
Yeah. Yeah.
I said congratulations on being in love. I sent him a text message. It was funny.
Oh my God. I
uh,
like that.
I think it's a
Well, it is. I mean,
compliment.
it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's a wonderful thing when you find it, and you can't. I mean, too many people. It seems like it's easy to say when you have it, how easy it is to get it,
Hmm.
but when you don't have it, it's not. It's this insurmountable thing if you're trying to achieve it. But if you just don't give a shit, I think that you get luckier, but you never really know, man, because you get hooked all the time, where you think you're going to fall in love and it's more passion and explosions and stuff like that, and then it just goes away and it doesn't matter.
That's kind of my MO is that I stopped trying and then I stopped looking for it.
Yeah,
After a long-term relationship, I was exhausted and I still am. I still
yeah,
am. Yeah. No, and then I think that it's more important to not chase it but to attract it. Now, I
yeah.
think it's a realization that I had.
Well, I think you're also at an age where and you're
Yeah.
you're a man, so that gives you a better thing when you
Hmm.
start dating women in their mid 30s and you start to realize that if they truly want a family with some
Yeah.
person, they better hop and pop real soon.
Yeah.
So otherwise, they're not going to have a kid. It's not if that was their dream, you know. But I
But
think if if
that's
if I was a woman and I want a kid, wouldn't you just have one?
that's kind of like the MO now as well at 24, 25, because people want to get locked into a
Yeah,
relationship for 3 to 4 years. And then in 3 to 4 years from now, they want the family and the
yeah,
thing like that. Yeah, right before they turn 30. And I think that that's
yeah,
something that is
yeah,
happening. Yeah, that's being realized. So it's definitely different from when I was 18. It's
yeah.
definitely changed. It's a little bit, yeah. especially with all the
You seem
apps and things like that. It's crazy. It's crazy out there.
you see more pressure.
Yeah. Oh, there certainly
Yeah.
is. There's always going to be. Until like it's funny because there's definitely like on a graph, it's like all this pressure that's built up to like having a family, and then there's definitely at some age where it's just like extinguishes and it comes down, and I
Yeah.
think that's about like 38, 39, where it just goes away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then there's people
I
realize
think
what they
it does it
want, right? And they people
there's a
realize what they want.
realization.
Yeah.
Well, you start to see that if you have money,
Hmm.
you can pretty much purchase a kid, you know. So
Yeah.
uh to put it in the most basic terms, yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know, you go to your adoption centers and that adopt foreign children out, and you know, you buy one from some other country that has lots of extra orphans.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's
Yeah.
I mean, we have quite a few people we know
Yeah.
that were, you know,
A bunch of them. I know a bunch of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, bunch of friends. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I hey, it's good. It's a
No, I
wonderful
think
way.
it's a great thing to do.
Yeah, it's a
I think
wonderful
it's
thing.
wonderful. Yeah. No, it
You know,
truly is. But yeah, no, at that age, I think it's 38 or 39. There's a realization.
so
It's
you
like,
don't think about
oh, well, I'm not having a kid anymore. I'm not. I don't know if I'll get
I'm just going to
married.
have a bunch of money and
Um,
not go crazy.
exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
when you think about kids in general, it's sort of
Yeah.
like, in my perspective, and everybody has their own
Hmm.
take, is that they take uh like probably 30%, a lot in the beginning. Kids take a lot in the beginning, but then you get about 70%. So for me, it was sort of like I lost a lot of autonomy, I lost freedom, I lost all these different things, which I can put those in one little bowl. But then I have a much bigger bowl where I never realized that something that you know I made or helped make, you know, like a cake, and that when that thing was pulled out of the oven, that it was this instantaneous connection for me. I don't know how it works for other people, but it was just like, oh, uh, the wife's second.
Mm.
I mean, it's very
Really?
strange. It was very,
Really?
very strange. When I went over and they put you in the little hands, I was just like,
Yeah.
it was an immediate connection that for me, I all of a sudden I just grew a little extra part in my heart. It just was like,
The
you know,
opposite of the Grinch is that
which
what you're
you have
saying.
stabbed ever since.
I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at that.
Little kids are bastards,
Oh, they're
man.
fucking mean. They're
Well,
the
but the thing
meanest.
is that you're no different. You're
Yeah.
no different than any other kid. I mean, I still can think about all the times that I just shat on my mother's feelings and go like, "Whoa," and then I realized that, like, well, Zach's not even close.
It's because you learn ethics and then you learn that words do hurt other people, which
Yeah,
is
but you
a
don't know that
stupid thing to
when you're
say, but
7, you
no,
know,
you don't.
and your mother doesn't have any money, and she gives you a rose for your birthday, and you're 7, and you stomp on it in front of her and walk away.
Oh my gosh.
I still remember that.
Yeah,
That
I
that
remember that. I remember you telling me about
that
that.
to me is the most horrible thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have anything. She couldn't give me anything. She gave me a flower. It was a beautiful flower, and I stomped on it, walked away. No cake.
Oh gosh.
That that's my. If I were to write down my regrets, that's
The
at the
biggest
top.
one.
Yeah. Well, that's what made me realize that no matter what you do, that when you were like knee high to a grasshopper, you're learning, and you learn through time.
You know
You
what's
learn through
funny
trial and error and stuff.
is I think about that and how that's your biggest regret. But do you think that she looked at that and said, "Hey, I did way worse things"? You think so?
I don't know. No, I never saw my mother have a look of, well, I did a few times,
Hmm.
but she was sad.
Yeah.
I hurt her You know how when you know that you hurt someone that you love,
Yes. Yes, I do.
when you see that in their eyes, that's when I did. I hurt her,
Yeah.
and it's like I could have punched her and it wouldn't have mattered. I don't think I ever hit my mom. I don't
Hmm.
ever remember ever. I mean, I held her from hitting me, but that's about as far as it got.
Yeah. No. Well, that's
But
good.
never. And she was not a slapper.
Hmm.
She punched you.
No. Wow.
No, my mom never slapped me ever once. She spanked me and sticks, forsythia
Oh, yeah. You were talking
and
about that.
belts
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but never, ever did I ever get slapped. I always thought that was like really insulting, you know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Can you
Why?
imagine that coming out of your mouth and then someone slaps you and you're just like that would drive me crazy. I would be hard to restrain myself if I mean you could punch me and I could understand that, but if you slap me, I'm like
Do you think it's disrespectful to slap somebody? Is that what you're saying?
it's it's painful and disrespectful. If you punch
Uh,
me, it's just painful. I
how do
don't care
you,
if you punch me.
what makes you think that slapping is disrespectful? Where does that come from?
I don't know. I mean,
Because I kind of agree with you. I kind of, especially
I don't
backhand.
I don't know what to roll that up into. When I
Yeah.
dig through the past, I remember my father was the almost the like the closed semi-closed fist slap to the side of your head.
Oh, that's a weird,
Well, that would knock you off.
weird.
Thing is, if you slap somebody in the face, you're not going to knock them down. But if you hit them like
No.
this, you can make them drop to the ground.
Okay.
And when you're like 8 or 9, that would put you to the floor.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
No, for
yeah.
sure.
So that was I think it was more of a weight thing than anything else because he
Mm.
wasn't that big of a guy. So, you know,
How tall was he? He was like 5'8", right?
5'8". It's like Edwin's height.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, about the same.
Nice.
But and
Mm.
that's how we get around to Memorial Day talking about. Hey, when's
Letting
the
our
last?
veterans hit us in the
When's the
face
last?
when we're 8 or 9. That's how we've come back
Hmm.
full
Yeah.
circle on this. No, but
Well, there's so much horror that happens in the
oh
different
yes,
various wars, things that we disagree, and I mean, I
especially the
think that's
Pacific
the
Theater. Gosh,
well that, and and it's like, well, hey, you dropped a nuclear bomb on a city and wiped out, 90,000 people, and was it 90 something like that, and
yeah,
it was a huge number, and I'm sure a lot of those were women, children,
I'm
everybody,
sure majority. Yeah,
families. There was a
for sure.
military base there, but that was sort of an afterthought that they were getting a bit military base as well. It was also it was wiping out everything, but it was the only way to truly stop the war at that time. You know?
I think so as well. Culturally, it was so different, and I don't think that they were ever going to cease and desist.
No, no, I didn't think so either. I thought it was a huge. Uh, it was unfortunately necessary.
Yeah.
You know, but
Well,
then
you
I
have.
mean, bring
Uh,
that forward to today and see what's happening in Israel with Gaza, and you go like,
that's crazy.
how do you compare the two? Can
Have
you
they gone
compare the two?
into Rafa yet?
Yes, yes,
That's gonna be crazy.
yeah. I mean, they're just basically clear cutting everything.
It's gonna be wild if they end up going to into Iran. That's gonna be
I don't see him going into Iran. I see him stopping at the border. And I see Iran saying,
because that would start something of mass
yeah.
proportions.
I
That
think
would
the
be
weirdness that I think is so strange is that all of the countries that are bordering Israel and Gaza are not allowing the refugees to cross the border.
well. They've done this with Syria too. They've been doing this
Yeah.
with Syria for
And
the
you'd think
longest time.
like, well, what I don't understand. I mean, I guess why is that different than the border across Texas where we have people in Guatemala or what is it, Ecuador, where people are running, literally running from these countries for their lives, and we have some way of, you
Hmm.
know, we can't vet them, we can't prove it, we can't do this, we don't know how to let them in. They're going to come in, they're going to mess up our economy, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and study after study after study, that's not the case.
I
They're
think there's
they're they're
always
more
been forms of racial difference, especially in the Middle East, where we don't really necessarily understand what that is like being at those bordering countries, right? But I
well, I
think
mean,
that there's a not a willingness to accept other people because it almost seems like a curse. It almost seems like a
yeah,
curse.
well, we don't seem to have a problem with accepting Canadians. We have a problem with accepting
Yeah,
Mexicans
duh.
or
That's for sure.
Hispanic. I should say Hispanic, Latin American or
Hmm.
Central American or
Hmm.
whatever the vernacular is for that.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
use the
wow,
word curse because it seems always to be derived by race, and I think that that's why
yeah,
people are so unwilling to help other people. Yeah.
yeah, because
I
yeah,
mean, look at
if
Syria.
they're
Syria's
if
had
they
issues. Lebanon, and they accepted them into Lebanon, and even then they have such problems with just
well,
helping, or just the willingness to live together.
well,
It's interesting.
I think that you think that there must be some reason that people are frightened that if you are fleeing a destroying country, that you're part of the reason that it's falling apart,
Exactly.
and we don't want to bring you in because it's like when you look at it, it's like, well, uh, we didn't want the Irish here, remember? Don't
Yes.
send us no potato famine, guys. And they're starving to death. And it's like, nah, we ain't gonna give you anything. I mean, even the British were like, send us your food, but we don't care if you starve to death. Uh, we had the same thing with the Jewish people at when they had a chance to come to America. We're like, nope, don't want any. Let them, you
That
know,
was
we
42,
had a
right?
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
no, that was in 39.
oh, 39, yeah.
Yeah, we said no, and so did all
Yeah.
the countries around there. So it's like you kind of I don't understand it. And I
Yeah.
think that it's the population in general that's like we don't want people coming in and taking our resources when in fact the things it's very hard for people to look at the longer bigger picture that the reason that we as a my belief is the reason that we have grown as a country is that we do let you know all these different homogenous pot of people come in with different ideas and different thoughts and grow and excel. And everybody has that opportunity to excel. And that's what makes the country great. I think that we have really tried in the last decade or two to piss on that idea and hurt. And that's what I think kind of stagnates us. We're incredibly good at starting new technologies and new companies and things like that. We seem to have become more of a war economy than we have in the past, which is kind of that's where what 80% of our discretionary budget goes to the military, which is
It seems like
stupid.
where we've been excelling more so than anywhere in all of time is just the ability to create weapons and technologies that can just absolutely decimate one another. Other
Mm-hmm.
than the advanced kind of language that we have, because no other animal really has the advanced level of language that we have. But
Mm-hmm.
then you look at what we're really, really good at, and we're really good at killing one another.
We're good at that, but
Yeah,
we suck at war. So I
yeah,
mean, if we're so good at that, why didn't we win? I
yeah.
mean,
There's some measure of
everything we've
restraint.
set out and done, we have been unsuccessful at. We can argue over
I mean, humans
Iraq.
in general, not necessarily just Americans, but
Yeah, we could have like
yeah.
when everyone goes, "Oh, make them glass," and it's like, well, we tried that and it didn't work.
Hmm.
You already know that. You're not going to, you know, change the whole country and start over because you can't. So we started to realize that you need the hearts and minds, and if you can't get the hearts and minds, uh, you're not going to win,
Yeah.
or you've got to soften the existing hate towards your country for the things that you do. But it seems like there's always whatever side we bet on, there tends to be a competing side that is has got a much higher level of we don't know how to change the way they think.
Hmm.
And I think that that makes it incredibly difficult to fight, when when you can't, when you can't get the hearts and minds. And that's why we
Very
have
true.
Memorial Days, celebrate. And I mean, when I think about come back to Memorial Day in general, it's one of the things to I I would always say that it's like when people celebrate uh the South, the Southern soldiers, the rebels. When they celebrate them, I don't some, not all, uh they want to show the battle flag. And I always think like, well, that's horrible because that's what but I think the people that fought in the war, the line rebel people were not these pro-slavery people. They were poor people that needed money and food and wanted to eat and just do what their government told them to do. And that it wasn't about a heritage history thing. It was more of like uh feeding the kids.
Hmm.
So
Or just
people go to
representation
war
in
for
general.
and so when you look back and you want to honor the dead of those that fought in war that lost, yeah, when they fought in war and lost, then you got to say to yourself, oh, that to me is it's more about uh, the people and not the topic. Like I
Hmm.
was against the war in Iraq completely, always. Actually, even went to the White House and protested.
Really? Wow, I
Yet
didn't know that. Hmm.
we have, oh God, yeah, the wife and I went there. We were throwing food on the lawn and saying how disgusting it was, even though everybody on TV was saying, yeah, we're gonna go in there and whop them out. They're all gonna come in and they're gonna say, I love America. And you're like, well, that's what
Like,
Rumsfeld was saying.
yeah.
They were saying those kind of things then.
Jeez.
But just because I don't like the war doesn't mean that I don't support the people that were there.
Yeah.
The men, women, and many
It's a good
families that
good
suffered.
delineation.
Yeah, it's huge. And the thing is uh political people would try to push the two together to make you look like this horrible person because you hate our military people fighting out there. And it's like, no, I hate the idea that you as a politician would use that to sell this headline thing.
Exactly.
Same thing in Afghanistan. I think we should have just picked a city or two, dusted them, and moved on. Without a clear strategic plan to move in and out of a country, and this is what Bush one did, it turns into Vietnam. Same kind of stuff.
Very quickly. Very, very
Yeah,
quickly. But that's
just
why we want to say thank you to all our veterans out there, veteran listeners as well.
yeah.
And thank you. Thank you for supporting
Thank
our
you for your
country.
service.
Yeah, thank you
Thank you
for
for what you
your
did.
service. We really
Yeah,
appreciate it. But
yeah.
yeah, we're coming up on time here. And
Really.
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We're coming up on time here, and I just wanted to say thank you to all our listeners. Happy Memorial Day. Enjoy your weekend. And do you have any parting notes here? Any parting notes here other than the Q&A on
Wow.
Spotify, of course, but do you have any parting notes?
No, I feel like I
Yeah,
honor those that have fallen to provide my safety and freedom.
for sure. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.